Hello, everyone. No shoutouts today because we're going to have to talk about something at the very end of the video. But for right now, let's just go ahead and go through the toy news for the week. Admittedly, there wasn't much. It's a pretty low-key week, especially after TFCon being 2 weeks ago, SDCC being last week. But still, a few things happened. For one, people are starting to get in-hand images of the new Amazon 2-pack of Sandstorm and Slugslinger. I like Slugslinger a lot. He's one of my favorite Times Return toys. I don't like this version of him. I prefer the Times Return version that I have that's a little bit more like a seafoam green. And Sandstorm looks fine, but this just isn't a toy I care about at all. These are two good molds, though, and two good characters. So if you're in the market for a Sandstorm or a Slugslinger, this might be a way to go. Third party only had one thing to talk about, really. DNA Design is going to be doing an upgrade kit for Optimus Prime. This is, of course, the Age of Extinction Optimus. I would assume these pieces would also work on Last Night Optimus when that comes out. Then again, he's going to have different gauntlets, so maybe not. Maybe you couldn't use these swords. In any case, it's going to help fill out this version of Optimus. So if you don't want to spend the $60 to get this guy again with a red line over his face, maybe go in for this upgrade kit. Official reveals. Again, not much, but a couple things. For one, ages 3 and up is getting their own exclusive repaint of the MDLX Rodimus. So this is the 3-0, around 6-inch scale Rodimus that is highly articulated, highly detailed. You'll notice, of course, that he is in the Lost Light colors, which is great because the Lost Light colors look really nice. And he comes with a ton of accessories. I like this guy. I still need to get MDLX Rodimus. When this guy comes out, I don't know if I'm going to go for the original one or this one, because I don't have a Rodimus in Lost Light colors, and admittedly, this looks pretty sick. But, in any case, looks good. Really, really into MDLX and their aesthetic still. You also have, of course, the repaint of Twitch coming out. This is Spitfire from Earthspark. And Spitfire looks fine. It's just the deluxe Twitch mold again, this time in blue. I'll probably try to get this just to complete the Terrans, because this is the last Terran we need. But overall, just a pretty simple but still nice looking repaint. We've also seen a new member of the Wild King toy line. This is going to be part of their Wave 4. I didn't catch this one's name, but I'll tell you who it reminds me of. It looks a lot like Energon Dive Bomb, which is pretty cool. I like it. Just a cool green eagle. I like that face a lot. Look at the head sculpt of this robot. It's kind of Air Razor-ish, but not normal Air Razor. Transmetal Air Razor, complete with like a Robin domino mask. I dig it. Speaking of another repaint, it is the Missing Link Nemesis. Truth be told, I'm kind of amazed that they went with Sentinel before Nemesis, but Nemesis looks good. I'm still not a massive fan of the Missing Link Optimus. I think he's a way overhyped toy, just a bit overblown and not as playable as some people would lead you to believe he is. But even still, it is a solid toy, and Nemesis is going to be coming with the trailer and the combat deck and Roller. Pretty solid all around. I do kind of wish Roller was a different color. I mean, he's the teal on Nemesis, but like, I wish they'd found like a bolder color for Roller, just so that he pops out even more. Like, I don't know, make him purple. Make him look like Motormaster's little car. But even still, this is Nemesis, and I think he's going to be a fine enough toy. Solid enough. Can't complain. Just not anything groundbreaking. But if you were just chomping at the bit to get Missing Link Optimus, but you couldn't get Optimus, and you don't care about Sentinel, and you don't want to just get the Optimus re-release that's going to be coming out in a few months, go for Nemesis. Why not? Now we're going to be talking about some things that are pretty far off into the future. This is some leak listings for exclusives. So, from what I understand, almost all these are Target exclusives. But one of these, the one on top, is supposed to be for Amazon. And keep in mind, these are just leak listings. We don't know anything about them. But I still thought it'd be interesting to talk about them. So, for one, supposedly Amazon's getting something called the Beast Wars Maximal Multi-Pack. I don't know if there's like an anniversary of Beast Wars coming up. It feels like there might be. And I assume that a multi-pack would probably just be like Primal, Rhinox, Cheetor, Rat Trap, Dinobot, all put into one big box with each other. And that's kind of in keeping with what we've been seeing out like the Revenge the Fallen multi-packs and the Movie 1 multi-packs, where it's almost always like 2 or 3 Voyagers and a Deluxe and then a core class figure. So I could absolutely see that there's going to be like a 5-pack that's going to give you the core 5 Maximals, and then maybe a re-release of Air Razor and Tigatron some other way. There's no real telling. There's also going to be a Generations collab Hot Wheels Twin Mill 2. We've already heard rumors that there's going to be more Hot Wheels Transformers coming up. Twin Mill 2 might just be a repaint, but it could also mean maybe they're going to do a different robot design out of the Twin Mill vehicle mode, because I know Bot's Obsession was telling me apparently the Twin Mill is like a really iconic car for Hot Wheels collectors. Going past that, these are all now Target exclusives, supposedly. A Generations Studio Series Anniversary Deluxe Insecticon 3-pack. I don't feel like there's any debate as to what that is. It's definitely going to be Shrapnel, Kickback, and Bombshell. Just put it in the Studio Series packaging. It's probably going to be the Legacy guys. Repainted, maybe slightly remolded. The Studio Series Anniversary Voyager Starscream is probably going to be the new Thundercracker mold. Just paint up like Starscream. And then one that I think is really big because it means that people have to stop Frankensteining Prowls together. Studio Series Anniversary Deluxe Prowl. So, finally, we can have a Studio Series Prowl that isn't trying to take the dead Prowl and fix up his chest. There's also going to be a Generation Studio Series Leader TF1 Optimus, but from the seams of it, it's just going to be a redeco of the version of 07 Movie Prime. So, Transformers 1 as in Movie 1, not TF1. So, we don't know anything about what these guys are going to look like. We don't even know for sure that these are real. There have been exclusives being canceled left and right, specifically from Walmart, so who's to say that even if these guys are planned, if they'll ever come out? I just thought it was interesting to talk about. Now I want to get to some old news. I kept telling people that I would cover these guys during a slow news week, but we've had so many big weeks lately that I've not been able to touch them. That is the new Blockies that have supposedly been revealed. The reason why I'm somewhat hesitant to go into them is because it was all on Robot Kingdom, and no knock to Robot Kingdom, but there's no way to actually verify that these are real, and there are a few things that look like they could be proper Blockies, but I also get the distinct impression that there's just some oddities to this, not the least which being the fact that each and every one of the Blockies Galaxy version kits now have their own SKUs. The reason why that's weird is if it's a blind box, usually there's just one code attached to the blind box because it's one product that is randomly assorted. So like if you were to go to Walmart, right, and grab some Blockies Galaxy version and went to self-checkout and scanned it out, it's going to be the same code 3 times. Whereas if you were to say grab, I don't know, a Marvel Legends, there's actually a good chance that there's going to be 3 separate codes. And that's usually just because if you get one box of a shipment, depending on what that product is, it's either going to be seen as a wave or it's going to be seen as a singular item. It's the same reason why sometimes if you're at self-checkout, if you get the same toy and you only scan 1 3 times and put the other 2 into the bag, you're probably going to have someone come up and ask why you didn't scan all 3 by themselves. It's just because the SKUs usually can vary. But with a blind box, it's almost always going to be the same. Because the whole point of it is that it's blind. You don't know which one you're getting. If you give individual SKUs, that means that there's going to be different codes to each one, which would be a way to identify them. And that's not unheard of. That happened with the Creo Transformers blind bags years ago. That's how people were able to figure out what character they were getting before they even opened the bag. But it would be odd for Blockies to go from never doing that to doing it now. So keep in mind, everything I'm going to talk about with these new Blockies quote-unquote reveals, we don't even know if they are real or not. There's no way to verify them. I hope they're real, because it seems cool, but I'm not banking on them being real. So starting off, supposedly there's going to be a Classic Class Megatronus and Jet Power Optimus. The reason why I feel like this isn't real is Classic Class Optimus is already filling out that price point. Adding the jetpack and the guns makes me think that that might be too expensive to keep in Classic Class, unless they're going to try a whole new class. Megatronus makes a little bit more sense in terms of price, but then I'd question why Megatronus for Classic Class as opposed to Arachnid, who definitely seems like they'd be more bankable. But then again, Blockies, their whole thing is going for some oddball picks. They've given us a lot of the TF1 characters before any other company has. Maybe they just figured Megatronus is probably going to make money because it's going to be the only version of Megatronus out there. But already, these two, they feel cool. They feel possible. But they don't feel very plausible. From a business standpoint, these two don't make much sense. From a fan standpoint, they're awesome. But Blockies is a business, not just fans. And that's why I'm hesitant to say, like, oh yeah, these two are definitely happening. We also have a list of the new Defender version. These are the chibi versions of Blockies. And this wave is interesting. There's some that make a lot of sense here. But to go through it, we're going to get a Dino Mode Grimlock, Hot Rod, Scourge, Blitzwing, Rumble, Shockwave again, Hound, Shattered Glass Megatron, Starscream, Wheeljack, Rodimus Prime in Vehicle Mode, and a Vehicle Mode Brawl. Now, this is possible. I saw a lot of people say, like, well, that makes no sense. They already did Shockwave, but they haven't. They did a hologram Shockwave. This would be opaque Shockwave. Alongside that, it makes sense for them to start doing Dinobots. They just did Devastator. Shattered Glass Optimus just came out, so it makes sense to pair him up with a Shattered Glass Megatron. And then you have the Thundercracker mold for the Jet kicking about, so why not repaint him into Starscream? With Devastator done, I can understand why they'd start on a new combiner. Bruticus is probably the second most popular combiner, so why not throw in a Vehicle Mode Brawl? This wave makes sense, but again, I'm hesitant to agree. And another thing I'd point out is this graphic they put up, supposedly, came from Blockies. And it's like, oh yeah, this is the reference guide. But I want you to notice, some of this is Sunbow line art. Some of this is IDW comic covers, like Shattered Glass Megatron down there. And then there is one IDW concept for Hot Rod. That's the thing, is if this was supposedly the what's what I'm looking for? If this was supposedly the reference shots for these characters, why are they in different aesthetics? And why is Megatron in a big action pose in a comic cover? It's not impossible, but usually Hasbro has a pretty thorough design Bible they will send you. And I feel like it only gets weirder when we look at the next one. So this is supposedly the next wave of the proper Galaxy version. These are the Blockies that you love, that I love, that we all love. And on its surface, it feels possible. But there's a couple of red herrings here. So we're going to get a new Optimus, Hot Rod, Shrapnel, Sludge in both vehicle Dino and robot mode, Blitzwing and Gnaw in robot mode, as well as Metroplex and Unicron's head. Now, a part of this makes sense. They've done all the Dinobots, they need to hit Sludge. That makes sense. They love to start up a new team right when they close an old team off. So starting the Insecticons here, that also makes sense. If Shrapnel's in this wave, I could buy that Bombshell's probably going to be in the next Shining version. Hot Rod is one of the most important characters that doesn't have a figure yet. I totally understand that. There is always an Optimus in these waves. If not Optimus, it's always his mold being reused. I could even see them doing just an entirely new body for Optimus using the new articulation style. Nah feels right, because Blockies likes to throw in the B-listers. And you have a Dinobot here, why not also throw in a Sharkticon for them to fight? The things that are throwing me off. Unicron's head. And I know that we've supposedly seen Unicron's head get leaked. I said it in that news video. The Unicron's head that we've seen from TFW, that doesn't look like a Blockies to me. Unicron's head is very odd to throw into a set like this. It'd be cool, but I don't necessarily buy it. Metroplex. Is it going to be a tiny Metroplex? I'm not against it. I would love Metroplex. I'm okay with a tiny Metroplex. But, like, surely, if Metroplex were going to be a thing, like, why Metroplex? Especially when you got so many more obvious picks that people want, like RC and Springer and Cup. Hell, Astro Train, Blitzwing's in this wave. That's the other odd thing. They had a different reference shot for Blitzwing and Hot Rod. So Hot Rod in the last one was like a IDW Hot Rod. This is Sunbow Hot Rod. And then in the last one for the Defender version, it was Sunbow Blitzwing. That's Devastation Blitzwing in this reference shot. I'm not saying these aren't real. I'd love for them to be real because this is such an interesting wave. And I would love these characters. I want all the G1 characters in blocky form eventually. It's just, it feels odd. And there's too many inconsistencies to where I'm starting to think that I just don't think these blockies are necessarily legit. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to post this and literally 5 minutes after that, Blockies is going to finally announce this wave and you guys can all come in here and tell me how I'm super wrong. And I hope I am wrong because this wave does look really cool. And there are characters here that I'm desperate to get. Blitzwing, Hot Rod, even Metroplex. I would love a Blockies Metroplex. But until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. I'll hope it's real, but I don't think it's real. So now we got to talk about some real stuff. It's not going to be terribly long. I just got to keep you guys updated. If you don't want to hear real world news and how it affects the Transformers hobby, click off now. I'm giving you 5 seconds to do it. I'll count you down. 5 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi. There, I've counted you down. If you complain about it now, rip bozo. I'm sorry. But August 1st was supposed to be when all the tariffs went into place. We once again chickened out on that. We didn't actually put the tariffs in place. Now it's August 8th. And I'm hoping that August 8th, it's going to be the same song and dance all over again. And we're going to kick the can down the road because that's what this administration's been doing, is making a big spectacle saying we're going to do something. It's like the kid who climbs up to the diving board and is like, I'm going to jump. Oh, wait, I need to go get my sunscreen. It's like you want the attention, but you're too big a coward to actually do anything once you have the attention. When all this started, I said that the tariffs are like the United States going on the world stage and saying, come change us after we pissed our pants. Because at first, that's what it was. We pissed our pants and then demanded that someone else come change us. But now it's not even that. Now it's more like, if you don't do this, I'm going to stop. I'm going to hold my breath. I'm going to hold my breath until you do something I like. And then we hold our breath for like 3 seconds and then we say, okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. And if you don't do it by then, I'm going to hold my breath again. And of course, right now, the reason as to why it's an 8-day pause as opposed to a 9-day pause is probably because they're hoping that this is going to make it to where people stop asking for certain files to be released. Like, let's just be completely fair, completely open here, completely frank here. The tariffs at this juncture might not ever come to pass, and they shouldn't come to pass because they were a dumb thing to begin with. But the clamor around them and the fact that they can sink the stock market, that could potentially be a way to get people to stop talking about other things. And if this administration is doing anything right now, it is everything they can do to get you to stop asking about Jeffrey. But that's not a Transformers Toys thing. I'm just saying that the tariffs are a thing that can affect us as collectors. But if you're an American, not just an American, if you're a person in the world today with even a passing interest in politics, I hope that you are paying more attention to a very different subject that is still very much embroiled in this administration. But hey, no producer slides this time around because, like I said, I'm sure people are going to be incredibly mature about everything I just said. And let's go over what we have coming out. So, what's coming up on the channel? For one thing, on Wednesday, I'm going to cover Transformers and Master of the Universe. They're doing a crossover right now that already has some bad omen to it because the Man-at-Arms Bumblebee looks pretty bad and the Skeletor Megatron I think looks bad. So I just want to do a video where I talk about what characters I think should be paired up to make cool new figures. Of course, my go-to will always be Evil Lyn and Starscream. Starscream becoming armor for Evil Lyn. But I'm going to do a whole video on Wednesday just talking about that. I'm going to take 4 heroic warriors, 4 evil warriors, and maybe even go into who I think you could bring in from She-Ra, or the Snake Men, or just other Motu factions. But then on Friday, the many toys of Bulkhead. I know that this has been a video that people have been begging to see, and I am so excited to finally cover him. He is easily, I don't know if easily is the right word, he is arguably the most famous Transformer character to be introduced in the 2000s, and I think he is the most important Transformer from the era that I got into the fandom in terms of being a new character with a legacy all his own. This was a fun video to make, and I'm really hoping that you guys will enjoy finally being able to see the many toys of Bulkhead. I'm not going to show producer slides, again, because we talked about some things in this video, but I want to thank you all so much for watching, and hey, we'll see what we get up to next time.